Good evening, everyone. So today we have with us Mbula. She's a successful entrepreneur from Kenya and the independent coffee consultant as well, with focus on the African coffee specialities. So Mbula today will tell us more about her business, how she started her e-commerce journey, and what are the challenges and what are the added value to go online today. So Mbula, please tell us more about your brand, about your business, how you build your brand, uh, why you decided to go online and to start an e-commerce business, especially that you are located in Kenya, and that is not so easy for many of entrepreneurs in Kenya.
Okay, thank you everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, evening, from wherever you are joining. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Elvira, am I audible? Elvira, am I audible? You can hear me
yeah,
now?
if you can increase a bit. It is a bit low.
Okay, is this better? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I think now it's much more better.
Okay, great. Thanks everyone for joining. It's indeed a very great honor to be invited here to talk about Utake Coffee and our e-commerce experience. So thank you once again, and I hope that we all get to engage and learn from each other. I'm only just going to be sharing my experience, and I know there are people here who are probably much more experienced, so I'll be happy also to learn from all of you. Thanks so much for joining. Okay, so Elvira, I think I'll go straight into my presentation if it's okay with everyone.
Yes.
I would like to share my screen. I'm not sure I'm able to share my screen, Elvira. You'll probably have to enable me.
So let me see if I can do it from my side. Can you try, please?
Okay, share screen. All right, are you all able to see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we can get going. Utake Coffee is our brand. It's the brand that is represented on e-commerce. And just maybe quickly just to describe what e-commerce is and what it's all about. It's selling products on the internet or online for that matter. And there are various channels that exist for this to happen. And I'll be talking about the ones that we are using to promote and to sell our products. So just a little bit about the brand, Utake Coffee. Utake from the word, just from the way it is, means a craving in Kiswahili, which is the language most commonly spoken in East Africa. It's a craving, and of course I use it to signify craving of coffee, like good quality coffee, something that will create a craving, especially if you take high quality coffee. And in English, colloquially, Utake Coffee is a push or a drive to consuming high quality coffee as well. And so it kind of doubles up, and we chose this word because it serves a much wider audience, and it resonates with a number of people speaking different languages in different countries who are able to at least resonate with the word Utake Coffee. So our brand comes in two variations, two main variations, the medium roast and the dark roast, which is also espresso roast. And within those two main categories, we have various stock keeping units that cater for different interests. So for example, you would want to purchase a medium roast, but you have a grinder at home. So we allow you the variation of buying whole beans that you can grind to your requirement. If you want it ground, we can also grind it in different textures to suit your brewing method. And we find that that enables us to reach a much wider audience, thereby giving us a little bit more, we are endeared to our buyers because we're able to cater a little bit more specifically for what they want. So all this to say, in developing this brand, we were looking widely at what the market might want and not necessarily what is available locally. So that's what you would see in our package, for example, when you look at it. So in addition to just the messaging, the amount of information we try to put on the package just to ensure that the customer is empowered. We also took a lot of time to choose a high quality product, a high quality packet, high quality bulbs, high quality stickers, and everything that goes around with the packaging to demonstrate total quality from the beginning to the end. We believe that the first encounter of any product is what a customer sees. And so if they're able to see something that makes them get interested and pushes them to consume whatever is inside, then we have already won them on the first step. So that's a little bit about our brand and about what guided us to presenting our brand in this way. And maybe the other thing was to give it an African brand identity. We looked at, embossing in the background representations of Africa. So if you look closely, you'll be able to see drums, the big five, a few masks here and there, just to showcase the origin of this coffee, being also that coffee originated from Africa, Arabica from Ethiopia, and Robusta from Uganda.
So, Mbula, in general, you are exporting to marketplaces not only located locally, but also to international marketplaces like Amazon. So
Yes.
you were talking about the packaging. So usually, do you have different packages from different marketplaces? How you manage that? How you manage the brand identity? And are there any requirements from some marketplaces for packaging, especially that we are talking about coffee and sometimes the agri-food products, they require more caring and more information. So how usually you manage that?
So thanks for that question. The original idea was to have a package that would cater both for the local market and the international market. Because as you know, with packages or with packaging, you have minimum order quantities from the manufacturer. And it can be very limiting for an SME to try and fit into the different requirements. I found that the easiest way to go was just to get a high quality product, because in any case, the market that we're targeting locally is the niche market. It's people who appreciate high quality, who we know would enjoy high quality coffee. And these are present across the world. So we basically standardize our product to be able to cater for both the local and international market, both the commodity or the regular coffee consumers and the premiumized market. And definitely, most of these markets have standards that they require to be met for packaging. In Kenya, you have the Kenya Bureau of Standards that regulates what information in items like food should appear on the package, and what should be directly printed on the bag, what can be stuck as a sticker and what cannot, and so on. And they work very closely with international standard bodies. So this helps to ensure that even if a product is passed in the local market, it can also be passed in the international market. Additionally, you have markets like the US that require something like the barcode to be really visible. So we found that in our packaging, if you look at the next slide on my, maybe I'll just quickly jump to that. Our barcode was rather small. And so what happens is whenever we are selling to Amazon through an agent who we use, they have to create a barcode that's much bigger because that is the requirement for the US. So the good thing is the way our package is designed, we're able to stick exactly what is required on the spaces we have created because we know that different markets have different requirements. So we've not made it so rigid that the package is completely printed and we cannot be flexible on what we can add if it is required by the market. So that's how we go about the packaging requirements.
So yes, it's not easy, but it is feasible at the end of the day. So with a good strategy, small company will be able to manage external and international shipments and sales. So Mula, tell us more about the e-commerce journey, how you started your journey, what was the reason, what are the main challenges today, how you see your e-commerce business is growing, what should be more done. So it will be good to know more about your experience with the digital economy, with the digital trade.
Yeah, so we got into e-commerce, and I think from the very beginning when we were strategizing about our brand, we knew that that was the way to go. I'll start by saying it's become increasingly difficult for SMEs to sell their coffee in retail in supermarkets, at least in my experience in where we are based, where we're located in Kenya. But luckily enough, in this era of digital and in our digital economy, we are able to still have a marketplace and kind of mitigate against some of the restrictions that come with joining the conventional retail space for SMEs. It's not impossible, but it is quite tedious, and I can be able to elaborate a little bit more on that if required. So that was born out of that challenge. We found that it was increasingly difficult. There were very high margins required, very stringent rules that sometimes would benefit the stockist more than even the owner of the brand. And so we thought, all right, we could still do it, but let us explore and increase our options and be able to sell in the international marketplace as well. And in keeping with our brand, whose vision is to transform the lives of coffee stakeholders through creating understanding of coffee by creating an enabling environment through our experiences, networks, and partnerships, and our vision to enrich the coffee experience of our clients through engaging, enlightening, and empowerment by sourcing the best, expertly transforming it, and delivering personalized service and education at every opportunity, as well as our value proposition of coffee that empowers. We realize that this is something that can be done globally. We can do it locally, we can also do it globally, and the only way to ensure that our farmers are earning a higher price is if we cast the net wide enough to get customers and clients who appreciate quality, who are interested in sourcing from origin, who are interested in sourcing from value, products that are value added in country through high quality processes. And so driven by that, we ventured. We basically just started out in the local e-commerce platform known as Jumia. And I remember we were already shoppers on Jumia, and that's how I think most e-commerce happens for most businesses. You start out just as a shopper, you have an account. And if you have a product, then you start to think, I could go beyond just being a buyer or a shopper and present my brand to the audience, because you've seen what is in the marketplace. Amazon, for example, has over 100 million products, and you can look through, and if you have a product that you feel can be competitive, that can motivate you. That's exactly what happened with us. But we started testing the waters by the local platform. it was very much structured like Amazon. And so by complying with all the requirements of the local platform, we found ourselves needing to do much less when it came to Amazon, because some of the things were standard. For example, the number of images, the angles that you have to take the photos, the company requirements in order to set up an account, the payment options and things like that would already have been created when we started out with the local platform. And so this opened our eyes. It helped us also to get to hear a lot from customers, and it put our product out there. I'll actually have you know that by being out there on e-commerce, we got some local retail stores that had taken time in approving us or listing us, start to think about us and start to consider us, because we were already out there and they could see us and they could verify, which I think is one of the things that holds them back from new brands. So that's how we ventured. We've had the challenges that obviously you would expect, just trying to conform our product to a wide market. You know, you'll find that in some countries they prefer smaller quantities than what we have, or some prefer higher quantities. Some countries would struggle a little bit with the translation of what all the information put on the package. So that's a challenge that would occur in international trade, because the package goes as is. For us, all our messaging is in English. And so when we're selling our coffee in countries that do not have, speak English or use English, that's a challenge we have seen to face. The market penetration then becomes slightly less, slightly diminished because of that. Maybe another challenge that I was going to get to that in my slides is logistics. It's not very easy to move a product from one corner of the world to another. The COVID time was even more challenging because of the infrequency of flights, of means of delivering this product. So those are the challenges that we expect, and of course that affects the stocking of your product in these countries or in these parts of the world. I would say those are the main challenges. As I said earlier, having done the local platform gave us some very valuable insights as we were working to our way into the more global platforms. And it also helped a lot to work through an agent, because the agent did all the heavy lifting for us. We sell our products on Amazon through an agent. And so all the compliance requirements are already discussed with them. They're kind of already done by them because they're already selling other products on Amazon. And we kind of just get a soft landing into how Amazon works and what the differences there are compared to the local platform. So that has also been useful, and it's probably something I would advise a small business that's thinking of going in and maybe does not have everything that's required to work through partnerships or agents that are able to facilitate this process for them.
Yeah, so actually having this big experience in e-commerce, it's good to see a small entrepreneur from Kenya having this experience in e-commerce. So I think it's not impossible to make it. I know that you have a strong message and the story behind the brand, and maybe this is an added value for the brand as well. So how usually you manage the content, you create your content for different marketplaces, how you manage the customer service, customer feedbacks, how you reply to negative feedback sometimes. So if you can tell us more about the pure e-commerce technical part, because you know some of SMEs they are afraid to go online because they think that they will need to create a good content. They will need to face negative comments from the customers. They will need to have good return system. So in general, how you are
He has
managing
to
all these
reverse that decision because there was a big inside edge as it.
Yeah, so managing content and the information that we share is one of the things we've learned along the way. We um, we try and keep a very open line of communication. Once you put yourself out there online, you obviously expect the good and the bad. And so it needs to be, you need to have that awareness as you're putting yourself forward and have, enough resources or a structure that can help you deal with each and every of those situations in a way that favors your brand and continues to support your brand. And so I would say communication is key. We constantly are looking at what feedback we're getting from our customers through all the channels that we use. If they write back and say that they had an issue with the package, we follow it up with them directly. If they have an issue with the roast, sometimes it could be because of an error on our side, but sometimes it could be a purchasing error on their side. Because if you buy a dark roast when you're used to taking a medium roast, then your feedback is that the coffee is smoky or a little bit strong and dark, then that could be a solution given in terms of what you would need to purchase the next time. So those discussions are continuous. They're always going on with our customers to ensure that they always get the best experience. So we found that that is more direct and it's targeted to case-by-case basis when we receive these comments or feedback. But also generally speaking, we keep an open line of communication by ensuring that we have presence in the social media space. So every Monday we do videos on coffee, different ways of brewing coffee. We answer people's questions. We, have created a whole playlist on our YouTube, on our Instagram, and on our Facebook that customers can actually refer to. And sometimes when they want much more detail than you can give in a text message, we refer them to maybe an episode that would speak into that kind of brewing so that they correct their way of brewing, or they learn from how we do it or how we recommend our product be brewed, depending on the type of equipment that they use. So in summary, it's really about communication and ensuring that you are in communication, whether directly or indirectly, whether to a wide audience that you cannot see by casting out episodes, or directly responding to messages. So we have to also get back to our offices when there is a negative comment and get to the source of it. It's something that is required even by the standards body in Kenya. So we have a way of logging customer complaints, and it's in file how they are responded to and how they are resolved, so that even if it happens that the person who handled it the first time is not there when another such comment or feedback comes, they're able to see how to respond, in what timeline to respond. That's another very important thing, is the timing. It's important to respond within reasonable time, so that at least our customers feel that we're listening and we are with them in their coffee purchase journey.
Yeah, talking about e-commerce, I would like to ask you how you identify your potential customers, how you identify the potential markets, how you know where to do promotions, where to target people more, where sales can be done. So what is the strategy?
Okay, so when we started out, and as a small business that's focused on quality, we had our niche very clearly identified. We only wanted to work on the niche of specialty. premiumized customers, customers who appreciate coffee, and slowly work through the process of empowering other potential coffee customers to get to that point. So our niche or our target is not set. It's one that through empowering, we're able to slowly rope in more people into appreciating and understanding quality, and therefore becoming part of our customers. So we haven't made it a snobbish product that is only like for a certain class. Obviously, people who appreciate and like quality will be able to identify it and recognize it, but we also go the extra step to empower, teach, educate our customers to slowly grow, because we found that in countries that don't consume coffee that much, or even those that consume, some of the reasons around this consumption or non-consumption of a product is information, it's understanding of the product. And so the more they understand, the more confident they feel that they can brew a packet of coffee at home instead of only having it in a coffee shop, the more you grow that customer base. And so that's how we look at our customer target. And so, yes, it is a niche market, it's a premiumized specialty market, but it's also open to all through us extending a hand to pull them into appreciating and understanding quality. So how we promote and how we showcase, we work a lot with the platforms. Most of these platforms have already established promotion strategies. And so you kind of just have to hop into what they offer. More often than not, they have an annual calendar that is maybe targeted to food and beverage and skincare products within a certain period of time. And so you use that opportunity to showcase, because the whole marketplace is aware that that promotion is going on. They're waiting for discounts, they're waiting for deals and offers. So we plug into those already established promotional channels that are done by the channels that we use. So at the moment, because it's also very new, we've also just recently gotten into e-commerce. That's how far we are on the strategy. We basically work with what has been established by these channels.
Yeah, you mentioned the logistics. So it is very interesting to know how you manage the logistics. What are the logistics that you are using? What are the solutions? Especially that talking in Kenya, it's not easy to have logistics and delivery, especially from Africa to the USA, and you have now your channel on Amazon. So how you are doing that? How you manage the logistics, especially the international one? And what is the difference between international and local logistics? And another question, what you recommend the Kenyan entrepreneurs to do? What is the best way to deliver, especially the agri-food products to their customers?
Okay, so I'll start with the first question, the difference between international and local logistics. You see, I found that in our e-commerce journey, the international logistics in the beginning were the easiest, believe it or not, because courier companies were already established. You have FedEx, you have DHL, you have Aramex, you have UPS, you have the local postage. And so these already exist. They already have tariffs and rates. They already have bands that you can use to kind of estimate costs and things like that. And so it was a matter of choosing which particular logistic company would form a good partnership with the organization. For local logistics, we started out doing the delivery ourselves, which was also not very easy, or working with delivery companies that were only focused on moving the product from one point to another. So not so much about consolidation. They weren't very strong on let's say, customer service or timeliness, because they don't understand the product as much as you do as the owner of the product. But in recent times, I guess due to the demand, and I would also attribute this to the lockdown period when people really needed effective and efficient ways of getting food to them and products to them, many logistics companies came up that were now starting to open themselves up to understanding what businesses want and supporting businesses. So it's become a very interesting competitive space for some of these service providers. And we are having, we are able to negotiate payment options of percentages as opposed to distance, for example. Like we have that option, whereas before everything was based on distance, meaning the farther away your customer is from where you are supplying the coffee, the more expensive the product would be to them. Now we're at a point where we can choose a logistics partner that uses the value of the goods to determine how much they charge you to get the product to the customer. So, and I guess this is different in different countries. I guess the maturity level on logistics is different in different countries. But just giving my experience in Kenya, these are available now, but there are times when the gaps happen. Many of these companies will probably not work on public holidays. Somebody needs an order urgently. And so we found a way of communicating that we can do it much faster, but obviously at a higher cost. And so these are all work in progress, I guess, but we have managed to find local solutions, but the international solutions also work for us. So I would advise companies that want to sell their coffee on e-commerce to discuss and negotiate these terms with whichever logistics companies are accessible to them. I remember initially when we started talking about e-commerce, ITC had put us in touch with DHL for the eBay platform that we had been encouraged to sell on. And they gave very good discounts to people who are joining at that time. So it's all about networks. It's all about working with supporting institutions that can help you get the best price to enable your product to be competitive when it arrives to where it's supposed to be. But that said, it is still a challenge. It's one of the things that are purely not in the control of the SME or the owner of the product. And so even with the system working, you can track the product and there are delays that you have no control over. And so that is to be expected and in many ways is understood by customers. But again, constant communication will help to ensure that you don't lose that trust with your customer.
Yeah, actually talking about that, how you manage the returns, if you have returns or, because most of companies, they are struggling with that, especially with the logistics providers. So how you manage that, and especially for the international marketplaces, not the local one?
That's one other challenge for us. The returns are really the responsibility of the SME or of the selling company. Most of the platforms that we trade in have a way of communicating when something has been returned. And you obviously have to go and pick it up from the fulfillment center or from the hub where you do your delivery. So the challenge with the international market is that there's a cost attached to shipping it back, and we have to bear that cost. We have to absorb that cost in order to continue doing business on this platform. And most of the reasons for returns, especially for international transactions, are as a result of oversupply. Or maybe, like for example, when restaurants were shut down all of a sudden, and there was all this stock in so many warehouses of things like coffee and other food products, that affected people across the board, not just us in coffee. And so these are to be expected, those are to be planned for. But I think with the first year or few months of doing business, you're able to kind of find a stocking level that would ensure that you don't have too many returns as a result of getting close to the expiry date. Or choose to do, like in Amazon, you have what they call fulfillment by merchant or fulfillment by Amazon. When you say you're doing your fulfillment by Amazon, meaning you have to stock up your product at their warehouses, then you have more incidents of returns. However, when you have the fulfillment by merchant, you will fulfill only on order. And that can be difficult if you're origin because of the time it takes to get the product there. So it's much more applicable for like high value products, because then people will be willing to wait for the product. But those are the two ways that I would say you can go about that. Either you fulfill directly as a merchant and the customer maybe has to wait a little bit longer, or you factor in the costing and the pricing such that it caters for possible returns at the end of, let's say, a batch's shelf life.
Yeah, it's not easy, but this is feasible. What is good as well. So
definitely,
I know that the other problem that many of SMEs are facing, especially in Africa and in the Middle East as well, it's payment solutions and access to payment solutions. So how you are managing the transactions, the local ones and international ones?
Yeah, this was one of the things we really had to streamline, and to date we're still working on the card payment option. So we're lucky that we have the mobile payment method in Kenya called M-Pesa, where you pay by phone. Just by having a phone number and an M-Pesa account, you can pay for anything through our till number. So we have a business till number that takes all payments that relate to our e-commerce through the local channel. For the international trade, we, especially selling over the website or through our Instagram or Facebook shops, that to date is challenging. We're only able to deal with that payment with customers who have the PayPal setup. And so we set up a PayPal for business account because it's linked, it's usually able to charge a customer who also has a PayPal account as it's linked to a card. And so for most of our international sales, that's how we've worked so far. And as I said, all this is work in progress. We're talking to institutions that then would be able to work with us and coordinate as the business grows to enable us charge cards for customers who are out of Nairobi or East Africa. Luckily, a payment solution like M-Pesa is growing so much that it's now accessible to countries that surround Kenya. So buyers in Uganda, buyers in DRC, buyers in Rwanda and Burundi are able to find M-Pesa shops or agents of M-Pesa in these countries that can take their money, convert it, and be able to pay for the product. So that's how it's been, but also still work in progress. We also do cash payments, especially if we're delivering the product ourselves, we're able to accept cash, or for bigger orders, we handle the payment through bank transfer. So bank transfer is also something that is okay for bigger transactions, but for much smaller transactions, it's still a work in progress for us.
Yeah, and what about the PayPal? You mentioned that you are using PayPal. So
Yeah.
it is accessible in Kenya, or
Yes.
you have to manage some special agreements to do it?
Yeah,
because we usually have this question from the SMEs in Kenya. What are the payment solutions available?
Yeah, as any sensitive payment gateway solution, you would have to sign an agreement. And of course, this is just not only to protect you, but to protect your buyers, because this is sensitive information. This is their card information that is out in the internet or online. And so those are just for protection of yourself and of the customer. But they are accessible. Creating a PayPal account, and for your purpose as a business is basically setting up a PayPal for business. There's the normal PayPal that you can set up just to make your own payments, and that would be for you as a consumer. But PayPal for business allows you now to invoice and receive payments online through the PayPal account. So that is a very important option that I've seen even in international events, leave alone e-commerce. When we're out on international coffee events and we're selling our product, we're able to manage that payment for people who are cashless using the PayPal for business option.
Okay. So I think it's good to know, to know all this information and that you are able to do it from Kenya. So I think today many of SMEs will think to start their business online and will reconsider that the online business is an added value. So what do you think should be your advice for the SMEs to start their e-commerce journey? What should be the first step and how to maintain the e-commerce business from Kenya?
Yeah. Maybe just to add, before I answer that question, I'll also just talk about the opening of an Amazon account as a seller or as a business. It would require you to have an account in the US or in Canada if you're opening to Amazon.ca. So that would be also a requirement, which the agent takes care of in our case. If we were to do it directly, we would have to do that. It's not difficult, but it's something that you need to put in your checklist of things that you obviously have to do to set it up. So please repeat the question. Was it how the SMEs can set up?
Yeah, actually, what is your advice? How to start? What should be the first step to do, and how to maintain? How to to plan for the e-commerce business. Because many of SMEs today, they are looking to e-commerce, but they are afraid to do the first steps. So I think it will be good to share with them some tips, some advices as well.
So I'll just give my experience and my journey. I'll go back to how I did it, and maybe we can draw parallels from that for those who would want to venture into e-commerce. So obviously, the first thing you need to have is a product, and a product that you believe in, a product that you know can sell. And having an account in some of these e-commerce platforms gives you an idea of what's out there in the market. So if you already have a product, then it becomes much easier to make that decision because you know you have the product. That's the most important thing. So in addition to that, how do you ensure consistency? You could have a product for 3 months, and then after that, it's not there, and there's customers demanding it. That ends up looking bad on you. So ensuring that you have the ability, the capability to consistently supply not only the volumes, but also the same quality is a very, very important part in e-commerce. And so how we have done it is we have ensured that we have processes that are, watertight. We look at every bin that comes to our lab, comes to our warehouse. We check it for quality. We generate reports. So we are confident when we're selling the product, and even in case somebody makes any feedback that is negative, we know that we are not lost in what could have happened because we're fully aware of the process we went through to get this quality product. So I think these are just some of the things that once they are in place, it makes it so much easier to have the confidence to venture, but also to deal with any complaints or questions and queries that might come. The slide that's on the screen shows the green analysis that we do. We check moisture, we check for defects, even before we go the extra step of roasting and grinding. And after we do, we check to make sure that the roast is exactly as is required by the Kenya Bureau of Standards and the Food and Drug Administration for the international market. So it's appliances that you can get easily, but they can make your work much easier when it comes to ensuring consistency. Also, I would say choose your niche, choose your market, and stick to it. We chose the specialty market. So that comes with its own challenges, but it also saves us a lot of challenges or negative feedback that we could get as a result of something that's not in our power. So if I'm selling a low-grade coffee, for example, it is a low-grade coffee, so you would expect negative feedback. So we decided to avoid that by specifically just looking out for only high-quality coffees and having a way of checking them and ensuring that that is what we consistently offer to our customers. So for example, when we go sourcing coffee in a Kenyan auction, for those who might know how it works, you walk into a room full of samples, and it's 13 different grades from every single catalog. So because we're only looking for specialty, we end up only checking 3 or 4 at most, 4 grades from every catalog. So it minimizes our work in that sense, and helps us to just promote the very best that there is in a way that we can consistently do, because we have the capability to do it. So equip yourself as a company to be able to check your own product, so that in the event that anything happens, you are not caught flat-footed. I think the other thing is to get support systems and a support structure around you. We've been lucky to work with the Kenya Promotions and Branding Agency by them, adopting us into the Made in Kenya cohort. This already helps a lot with selling your product. It shows that it has been checked, it's been verified by a third-party organization, and it's being promoted as such. So if you can, it's very easy to apply, and I think they make the process so much easier because of the whole concept of value addition and building the manufacturing sector in Kenya. And so I would advise a small business that also wants not only to shine through the product they're offering, to have the backing of institutions, organizations that recognize quality, they promote quality, they support quality, and they can walk the journey with you, because it's not an easy journey. But with the backing of such agencies, then you're able to explore or even walk into offices that you would ordinarily not be able to go into. So in addition to that, ensure your quality analysis and control is robust. Have trained personnel who do it. Those are some of the things that we take for granted. But when it comes to such a wide sea of a market like e-commerce, you realize the importance of having a Q grader, for example, who tastes the coffee, or a certified roaster who understands the science and profile and roast development process of coffee. That then makes the work that much easier when it comes to managing the product in a big marketplace like Amazon. So I guess that's what I would say. Like, establish yourself in a way that enables you to do the job in the easiest of ways. That initial investment is not easy, but the benefits of it are immeasurable. It's just one of those things that might take a bit of time at the start, but once it gets going, you start to see the relevance and the benefits of having personnel or having a facility that enables you to be consistent and ensure a consistent product each and every time. Sorry, we don't hear you, Elvira. I think you're muted.
Thank you, Mbula. Actually, I'm so impressed to hear your journey and to learn a bit about you and about your experience. I think everyone would like to know more. So I don't know, feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions, or share with us on the chat. So Mbula will be glad to reply. And if you have any concerns related to e-commerce in Kenya as well, maybe it will be a good opportunity to share more expertise and more tips with you. So feel free to unmute and ask your question directly to Mbula.
Maybe as they prepare for the questions, I'll also just clarify that you can actually have and operate an Amazon account without a distribution partner. We just chose that direction to get to the market faster, but it's possible to do it directly, because I'm seeing a direct question on that in the chat.
So anyone has any question?
I see a comment on intellectual property. Very important to establish the brand on global level. That's a good point, and it's something that we also had to think about. So in Kenya, there's the Kenya Industrial Properties Institute, KIPI, that works with you to get your product copyrighted or patented, just so that your name, for example, or the recipes and things like that are protected. For international markets, it's very expensive, but it's doable. There are countries that offer intellectual property solutions for businesses that are selling food and skincare products and other products in general, but obviously you have to be willing to pay the price for that. That opens up a lot of windows, including how you can promote or advertise your product. A platform like Amazon requires you to have that in order to open up a few more channels of promotion and marketing of your product. So that also just comes with the journey, and you get to it as you are ready to do it. But that's a very good point from Mayank. Thank you.
So if anyone has a question, please feel free to ask. Actually, we have some in the chat.
Yeah.
So it is about advertisement and promotion of your products. I think it's on Amazon. And we have a question from George, if you have opportunities for partnerships.
Yeah, so advertising and promotion, as I said earlier, the platforms sometimes create these for various categories. So they might at some point be doing food and beverage or skincare products, and you use that window that has been created to showcase and promote your product. So depending on what your marketing strategy is, you're probably willing during that month to give a higher discount than what you would normally give, or even just give coupons for people to be able to benefit at a later time. So there's so many options. That would be a presentation on itself on how to explore the marketing and advertising options that are there in e-commerce. But for starters, just know that they have already established them in the platform, and with the discretion and with a good marketing strategy, you're able to work out through your projections for your annual expectation, how much you can let go of and set it aside as a marketing budget.
Yeah, Mula, I was thinking as well about the content creation, especially the YouTube video and everything. So how you are doing that? You are doing that in-house, or you have an agency you are working with? And how you divide the content between educational, between tips on how to use coffee, benefits of coffee. So what is the percentage, and how you do, how you initiate the engagement?
Yeah.
So you are looking into the comments and the requests, and you create content, or you start creating a content looking to other channels, to other branding, to your competitor. So how in general you do that?
So we started just by focusing on our strength, and our strength was empowerment and education. So we tailored our episodes to offering this education. We basically broke it down to everything coffee. We looked at everything from the history of coffee to how you brew coffee to how you deal with water issues, equipment, all the way to the types of coffee that you would have in the market. And so that would be, it would depend on what product you're using and what you're able to confidently showcase. So for us, because we are dominantly in education, we know that content that surrounds education, that surrounds coffee preparation, that surrounds coffee selection and purchase is something that we can be masters of. We've done it for enough years to be confident enough to give it as education. So that's where the basis of the content is. The second thing that guides our content creation is the questions. The questions we're constantly receiving from customers as we trade in coffee. The challenges they're having in coffee preparation or coffee sourcing. That advises some of the episodes that we create. We do all our productions in-house. We work with what we have. We work in partnership with organizations. If you look at our social media channels at Utake Coffee, you'll see the Monday Blues for Everyday Blues is currently being sponsored by GIZ. And so working with them enables us to deliver a high quality product because we are not thinking so much of the cost. We have it factored in the budget, but it comes in sponsored. So it enables us to give a very high quality product every single time. So this particular one was tailored already at the beginning of the year for 52 episodes. So one episode every week. And so we plan for 52 episodes. That also helps us as we go along to see what people really want. The questions they ask, the requests they have on what they think we should be talking about, it advises our subsequent episodes, or it helps us to incorporate whatever they want into episodes that we had already planned for. So that's how we do that. And I hope that you'll be able to tune in, follow, like, subscribe, and share.
Mbula, I think most of our attendees today would like to be in contact with you. So if you can share your LinkedIn or your email or social media accounts, so in case anyone may have any question, so they can send you an email or send you a message. I think it's very interesting to have you today here, because having a case study and a real entrepreneur from Kenya, having access to markets, and especially in Canada and USA, it's very interesting to know the journey, and that is possible, because sometimes we always say that it is impossible to get to USA market, to Canada market, to EU market, especially if we are from developing country. So it's very important to believe in our brand and to create a good story. So you are an example of how a good story and a good mission and vision can support the brand to go internationally. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Elvira.
It's very interesting. It was a very good session on e-commerce, and we knew a lot of details on how to do it. So looking forward for other sessions. I have a small question as well concerning working with organization, because I know that you worked with the local organization, Keproba, you worked with ITC, you worked with SheTrades with ITC. So do you think SMEs should register in such programs? Is there a real benefit for that? What do you think?
Most definitely. That has been, I think, my strongest support base is institutions that are looking out to help SMEs. As I said, it's quite competitive in this field and in this market. And in countries like Kenya, it was always the big companies that were dealing in coffee. So a small company with a good idea and a dream could only penetrate this market with support from national institutions and institutions like ITC and SheTrades. So being a part of it just gives you so much. ITC has a lot of courses that they have on their website. You can always log on to them. And as a member of SheTrades, they are free of charge. And so this empowerment also helps you to just keep abreast with what is happening and see the opportunities that are available and open to you. Locally, being part of, let's say, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Brand Kenya, Kenya Promotions and Branding Agency, Keproba, and any others that relate to the sector where you operate. Sometimes it looks like something that will take your time, will flood your inbox with a lot of messages, but it really is useful. It really is supportive. And once they identify that you have a product and an idea and are passionate about it, then it becomes much easier for them to work with you. So I would advise that you join whichever you can, take advantage of numbers and the dynamics that come with it to strengthen your brand.
Yeah. I think, yes, it's very important as well. So let's hope you will have more success and you will target more markets, new markets, and new potential customers in B2B and B2C. And hopefully to see you again in other webinar. We have now a hub for e-commerce in Kenya. So we encourage all the SMEs in Kenya to join the hub to benefit from the exchange of experience, because in this way we can learn from each other, from our mistakes, from our weak points, and from the good experience as well, and to build on that and start our e-commerce business. So thank you, Mula, for today and for sharing all this information with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Our contacts are on the last slide, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, ITC.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
You too.